Cleopatra exposed as a fraud. Netflix damage control backfires spectacularly. I love his titles. I need his titles in my life.
The Queen Cleopatra news story continues to develop. Of course, as you know.
How he speaks, though. What if we do this? Will we notice?
This movie is, or actually, it's not a movie, it's a series. It's like 7 episodes.
No. You're getting this wrong. It's a Netflix documentary. Okay, don't get it wrong. It's a Netflix documentary.
Well, it is yet another Netflix fail. I don't know why they keep doing this, but
they keep failing.
Keep on making the same mistakes over and over again, and you really do have to wonder when this is going to start to hit them financially. I can't imagine that they just keep rolling out lousy, shitty content like this and keep going, because they don't really have much of Hollywood's content anymore. Most of their stuff has become original content. So they really need this stuff they make to appeal to everybody, and all it ends up
let's be honest, Netflix as a company, it's really huge and diverse. It's not like only one type of developers or whatever, or directors, writers are working. There is so much. And the thing about Netflix, it's diverse and it's multinational. It's not only Hollywood and American based. That's why you have a lot of shows that come from different nationalities and countries. And some of them performed so good to the company that it's even better than American-made stuff. Like, for example, Money Heist, which was, I think, Spanish. Then we have, what was Squid Games or something like that, which was Asian. I don't know which, Japanese, Chinese, Korean. It was Korean. And you have these things that are literally representation of the 2 series, though, that I would say Hollywood based are Wednesday, and another one is Stranger Things, and these 2 did so good. So these are kind of original, okay? These are kind of original, and they performed really well. And I think that Netflix is developing so many things, and sometimes they hit it, sometimes they don't, But it's enough for them to have like one viral trendy thing to keep them afloat throughout the whole year.
Doing is just pissing people off. They pissed off the entire nation of Egypt. Egypt comes out and says, hey, don't appropriate our culture. And they tell them to shut up and sit down and to listen, and basically called them a bunch of racists. It's not the best way to go about making something based on the culture and then tell the culture to shut up, but that's where we're at. That's what's been most crazy.
Oh my God, let me actually represent something about a race and be race accurate and respectful while also shitting on someone else's race.
About all of this, and the media basically defending Netflix, of course, because corporations above all else when it comes to the media.
Ooh, feisty.
But here are some of the headlines that are going out. This is from today. Queen Cleopatra review. Controversial Netflix documentary deserves to be buried in a crypt. Queen Cleopatra review. The discourse around Netflix's documentary makes you wonder what's more ancient, the relics on display or the mindset of the people commenting on the color of somebody's skin. That's not what's going on, though. I hate that it's getting reduced to that. It's not about it's made to look like it's some kind of racist thing, and that's not it. If anybody's being racist, to be honest, it's Netflix and the people that making this damn show. You've got an entire nation of people saying this is bullshit. And a lot of these people talk about cultural appropriation and treating people of color with respect and all this stuff. And here's a whole nation of people asking for just that, and they're getting told they're istophobic. It seems kind of hypocritical, but of course that's what the woke SJW mindset is. It's a bunch of hypocrisy. A bunch of people that want to make things their way, to be honest. Like Japan. They want to go to Japan and force Western culture on Japan.
Yeah.
It's that's a really good example. They're always whining about anime, all these woke people, especially woke critics.
Don't touch anime. Don't even try to touch my anime. No. The best thing about anime is that it literally has Zero excuses. Like, it does what it wants. It appeals to whomever they want, and that's it. They mind their own business and they don't care.
So, I think that's disingenuous. That's not what it's about. It's not about it's not about who she is. It's about who Cleopatra was and how this show is trying to make it sound like she was a black queen based on some producer of the show's grandmother's take. It's so strange. Well, it turns out nobody likes this. Rotten Tomatoes finally updated their audience score. Now, because you remember yesterday, I did a video on this yesterday, there was only a handful of audience scores. Now there's a shitload. So this is why it's good that people call this out, because
Yes.
I would imagine they would have just left it as it was if people hadn't said anything.
Yep.
Because it'd already been out for like 2 or 3 days when that audience score was up. But now we have an official audience score, and it's a 1.
Yeah, it's really I think there is a purpose of putting the word out there and talking about it, because people are busy. We live in a busy world. Things keep appearing on our screen all the time, and we don't catch a break. We usually, even if we dislike a food that we ate in a restaurant, we seldom take our phones and write down a review on Google for that restaurant. We just mind our own business. We didn't like it. We're not gonna go again. We're not gonna order, and we move on. That's the big problem. That is like the biggest issue, which I noticed a lot of Germans do not do. In Germany, if they don't like something, they will complain, they will let you know, they will review it, rate it. That's why, like, that ratings in a lot of places, it's actually accurate, and you can read a lot of reviews and a lot of ratings, because Germans will complain. They will not let it go away, And I wish more people are like that. And especially in the entertainment business, like, we don't like watching something, we move on. But the people who genuinely like it, they will go and boost it up. And then the reviews are going to be so inaccurate. And let's say 5 years from now, somebody wants to watch something about Cleopatra and like, this documentary has good reviews. Bam! Well, not really, it doesn't have good reviews. It's the only sad part about it is that it should have had worse reviews, but people were lazy to actually rate it.
More critics, too. 13%. One of the rare occasions critics and audiences are on the same page. It's always a rarity, and I'm surprised to see it for this one, because usually a lot of these critics would
manipulation tool.
They don't care that Egypt is mad or that this is history being changed. By the way, this is not a show for people that enjoy kind of like docu-series, which is what this is. From what I hear, it's not serious enough, and it's not. It's not serious the moment they casted the people in the parts that they did. That's when you knew it was never going to be serious, right there. But the audience scores here are just amazing. So we got a whole bunch of 1.5 stars or 1 star or half star. It's funny. Nobody likes this show.
Let's see this, for example. Oh my God. Wow. It's really hard to make a stinker this bad. Try me on an evening when I eat beans. It's like getting the Trailer Park Boys to try really hard to make something serious, and when they fell short, this is what you get. It's boring, does not stay true to history, and has the audience to claim it's a docu-series. It's more like a mockumentary. It's a mockumentary. I would really like people to stop doing this kind of stuff.
Half star, it's funny. Nobody likes this show. History and fantasy shouldn't get mixed in a documentary. That's 100% true. They shouldn't. And what's wild about this is they could have just cast an Egyptian woman. I don't think anyone would have cared.
Easy.
So we don't really honestly. Do we really honestly know all of the facts on her? I don't know.
No.
I can tell you one thing. No, this is not what Cleopatra looked like. But you could have cast an Egyptian woman. I think that most people probably would have been fine with that. You just run some casting calls in Egypt. You could even get an unknown. I think that would have been fine. And you wouldn't have any of the controversy right now, other than maybe the fact that it sucks. I don't think that
people are going to just move on
no matter what. But you wouldn't have the conversations surrounding this show be about, what Cleopatra looks like. Maybe a little, because there are a lot of people that say that she's mostly Greek. I think that would have been there, but at the end of the day, I think if they had just cast an Egyptian woman, a lot of this would have never been talked about.
Mm.
But they didn't want to do that. They
Because
didn't
it's
want to do
like
that.
it's set
Now,
in Egypt,
look at all of
so we
these reviews.
immediately
The whole point of
assume.
documentaries is to make it as historically accurate as possible, not fan fiction. Here's another one. It seems to take far too many liberties to the point of making the whole production not believable, not serious. If every episode in this TV show is terrible, then at least one is a disaster. This TV show is not awful for only history, but for the definition of documentary. Even if they want to say anyone can play the role of an historical figure, it's still only built in direction of skin color and grandma talks, which drops the meaning of the documentary. Documentaries always have been built on research studies and investigations. I cannot find any of that in this show. The conclusion after watching, I find no respect for Egyptian history and no respect for other African nations because they also have historical figures. I believe it's good for every country to represent the history of its civilization based on science because science helps us humans to be fair, not judgy, not biased. I think that's a great review, actually. That's pretty dead on right there. You know, if you want to tell the story of an African queen, why don't you tell the story of an African queen? You don't need to tell Cleopatra's story and change it. And you could find a queen and tell that story and make it entertaining. But they don't want to do that.
They will do that. They will do that. Hopefully they will do that. Maybe this was just one thing. I don't think they don't do that. It's just the wrong people who were doing the wrong thing here. And as you said, like Netflix does a lot of things, ups and downs everywhere. They had this as, I would not put it only on Netflix. I would put it on the people who made this, because Netflix is a huge company, as I said, and this is just one team. Netflix cannot really look into everything. They have to put their belief into people and trust into different teams, and this is the team's fault, you know. In my opinion, it would not be a problem whatsoever if it was a fantasy fiction or just like it's just a show representing itself as a show from a different perspective, you know. But to call it a documentary, that was the big problem. That's what they should be careful doing. You cannot put something as a documentary and not be careful what you're doing and what you are representing in that documentary. All the things needs to be facts, and everything that is not facts needs to be literally, you need to say it. This is not a fact. This is what we assume, what we think. Don't take this as a fact, you know? If that's how it started, then probably it shouldn't have been even called a documentary or something else. Big points, for example, I would tell you about a thing that represents Black people in a fiction through history that is not called a documentary, and it is number one right now on Netflix. All right, it's called Queen Charlotte from Bridgerton. So this is the true story of Queen Charlotte. And no, like, for example, if you see this picture, that's the actual Queen Charlotte. Let me show you. So this is how actually Queen Charlotte looked like from portraits from that area and the history. She wasn't Black, all right. And in the series, she is Black, and she's representing Black people. And the whole series is about her being undermined by people throughout that age who were demeaning Black people and looking at them differently. That's not true. That's not the reality. That's not the true story. That's what Netflix made it as a fiction. And it is a fiction. It's a romance fiction. Almost nothing is true. There's like maybe 2-3 things. The time, the king's illness, and maybe the costumes. Some costumes were accurate, and that's it. Like, other than that, everything is fiction and entertaining, and nobody even talked about it. Did you hear about this? You didn't hear about it. Nobody even talked about it, even though you clearly see it's not true, you know? It's not historically accurate. It wasn't a problem because it's just a romantic movie series, fiction that took a bit inspiration from history itself. And that's fine. Nobody will talk about it. We don't have anything against different race or a different gender or a different representation. What we have problem with is actually calling something a documentary when it is clearly not a documentary. All right? Because we don't want to teach our kids wrong facts about history. History is already by itself wrong, and we're trying our best to correct it. So we don't need to add up to that.
Madam, I'm afraid that consuming sturgeon fish is not allowed in this area.